Way from this site right now, he said, I will spend the rest of my life excavating this site. And that is precisely what he did until he passed just a couple of years ago. So what is Gobekli Tepe? It's a mysterious site. It is believed to be a series of circular temples that are buried under the earth. Apparently, they were intentionally buried. And I say it is believed because they are still buried. Scientists are using Earth imaging radar, Earth penetrating radar, to look into the earth and see these temples. Right now, there, I believe, are 5 to 8 that have been unexcavated. They are circular temples of vertical columns. Scientists don't know who put them there, why they were there, why they were intentionally buried. But the fact that they were has preserved what has been found to such a degree that the hieroglyphs look like they were made yesterday. Some of the most magnificent images of what these hieroglyphs are all about. Some of the hieroglyphs are very mysterious and are now being linked directly to constellations and star systems that were not even acknowledged until the 20th century. So once again, we're saying, how did they know? How did these people know? Well, one of the things that I find really intriguing about Gobekli Tepe is the remains, the artifacts that have been found there. And there have been a series of images of humans that are anatomically correct, and everything is done really well with one exception. None of them have a mouth. The mouth on every one of these is non-existent. Scientists don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. We've never seen anything like that before, and because it is so consistent throughout the Gobekli Tepe site, we have to think that it has some meaning that actually will benefit us in helping to understand the site itself. So we're looking at a series of circular temples underground, buried intentionally. This is where it gets even more interesting. The burial of the sites happened about 8,000 years ago. So remember, we're taught that civilization is only 5,000 years old. This site was buried 8,000 years ago, but the dating now is pushing its origin back far beyond that. The scientific dating for Gobekli Tepe, as it stands right now, is between 11,300 and 11,500 years before present. It's over twice as old as what you and I were taught when we were in school, what we're teaching our young people in the classrooms and from the textbooks today. 11,300 to 11,500. Now, if we begin plugging in some of these dates from what are called the anomalous sites on the traditional timeline, I'm going to do this on your screen so you can see it. What we see, here's Corral in Peru, there is Gobekli Tepe, there is the Great Sphinx, there are other sites, Çatal Höyük, for example, another site in Turkey, the Gulf of Combat in India, a fascinating site, just off the shore of the Indian continent, underneath 120 feet of water. So scientists say either this site was built underwater intentionally, which isn't likely, but you have to say that as a scientist, or it once was above water and became submerged when the sea levels rose. Well, that brings up a problem for history because the sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age when the ice melted and the water raised the sea levels. That was 12,000 years ago. So the Gulf of Combat, very mysterious site. It is huge. It is 5 miles long. It's 3 miles wide. And scientists now very, very interested in excavating this. The problem is it's all underwater and it adds to the complexity. So I'm just mentioning it so you can see it's not just about Corral. It's not just Gobekli Tepe or the Sphinx, but there are many sites now that don't fit this historic model. As a geologist, I like to see what's happening on the Earth when the civilizations are happening in the way that they are. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing for you now on the chart the blue shaded box. That is the last ice age, and it ended about 12,000 years ago. Gobekli Tepe being dated to 11,500 years, that is the date that scientists have now. However, they have yet to excavate to the bottom of the site. So they believe that when they get to the bottom of Gobekli Tepe, we're going to be looking at around a 13,000-year-old archaeological site. That pushes it into the last ice age.